פרטיסיפיישנט, כל מה שחשוב לדעת על שיתוף מטופלים לשינוי מערכת הבריאות.
ערב טוב, אורי.
ערב טוב ליאת, מה העניינים?
בסדר, רגע לפני שאנחנו קופצים לאנגלית, כי יש לנו היום פרק מיוחד, נגיד לכם שאנחנו באוגוסט היום, אבל אנחנו יושבים במזגן, ומאוד נחמד לנו.
נעים פה יותר, אבל כן, אוגוסט היום, חם, מתוח.
נכון.
בדיוק עשינו קצת שיחה על איראן.
נכון.
אבל את האמת שיש לנו היום אורח מיוחד.
מיוחד, מעניין, מומלץ בחום לדוברי האנגלית ולאלו שדוברים פחות.
שחייו שזורים בחייה של מדינת ישראל גם, למרות שהוא לא גר פה הרבה, הוא גר פה ממש מעט, אבל איש יקר. אני אעבור לאנגלית כדי שהוא יבין מה אנחנו אומרים יותר טוב, כי הוא מבין עברית, לא לפספס. So we have today with us Gilles Frydman, a long-time patient activist and one of the, I would say, one of the fathers of this, stream activism in the world, and the founder of one of the first patient communities ever founded, and I think the first one around cancer. Gilles is also Jewish and has a long-time connection himself and his family to Israel and to Zionism, I would say. Gilles, would you like to kind of say a few words about yourself better than I do?
And if it's good evening or good morning or good night.
Good morning. So I'm currently in Colombia, where we're a few hours away. So,
just a jump
ahead. I'm over 70 years old, and so my first trip to Israel happened in 1967, a few weeks, 2.5 weeks after the end of the war. And I experienced the aftermath of the Six-Day War as a kid, not even a teenager. For some crazy reason, I ended up in Cunetra in 1967, and so from my eyes, what is the result of war? And it transformed me forever. Since after that, I arrived in Israel and studied animal biology at the Faculty of Agriculture. That made me a scientist, and I've remained a scientist forever.
Wow, okay.
What else should I tell you?
So how does a person that learns agriculture gets into patient activism?
It's from science, from learning what science is. And I had a fascination with biology. So I had three great interests in my life, which is science, technology, and art. I was in New York. So I worked for many years on the Israeli satellite system. I was the first person to apply for a slot of an Israeli satellite at the ITU in Geneva many years ago.
Wow.
After that, I became an artist in New York, and I married somebody, and that person became pregnant and got a very serious cardiac condition while she was pregnant. And immediately, this scientific background came back, and I became a bridge between a very big medical team and a patient. And a few years after that, so that was in 1989, in order to be able to be the bridge, I had to go to a medical library and read all the books about that very rare medical condition that she had. 7 years later, she got diagnosed with cancer, and those were the early days of the internet. And instead of going to a medical library, in 2 hours, I had enough information from the internet to call the doctor that had diagnosed and wanted to do a completely unnecessary medical treatment, telling her that we were going to go for a second opinion.
Wow.
The internet, in 2 hours, the internet saved my ex-wife from treatments from a full mastectomy that she should never have had, and from chemotherapy that she should never have received.
Wow.
So that convinced me that we were in a new era, and within 3 months, I mixed this a new role of a patient advocate with technology and decided to build the first central archives of online communities that were dealing with cancer. And because this was right at the beginning, and at the same time there was this explosion of the internet, what started as a very small thing became very big, very fast. And so 6 months later, we created a new non-profit organization that whose goal was to create communities for every type of cancer, which we did.
It was
Wow.
the first
And
revolution.
Again,
The first revolution, and I think the communities were called ACOR, right? What is the acronym of ACOR?
Yes. So the reason why they were called ACOR, you're going to see like how far it goes back to the beginning of the internet. The only reason it's called ACOR, which stands for Association of Cancer Online Resources, is that at the time you didn't have search engines. You only had directories.
Oh,
And I wanted to make sure that the name that we created
People will find it.
come for American Cancer Society, which was ACS.
The first revolution was the internet, and now we are at the AI revolution for patients. And you are one of the leaders of this revolution. So I want to ask you how is it different? How can you see a connection between the revolution then, when the internet exploded, and the AI now, where it explodes again?
Yes. So I started by telling you that I became a patient advocate 37 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, I needed to go to a medical library to find information. It was impossible for a normal person to find any information about this medical condition. It's only because I spent a lot of time at the Hebrew University and the Machon Weizmann knowing how to go to libraries and find information that I was able to focus and get the information I needed. The internet changed that radically. All of a sudden, anybody could read a lot more information about like any scientific topic. PubMed existed, and all of a sudden, you had like any normal person had access to infinitely more information. Mm-hmm. 30 years later, we are in a situation where we have too much information.
Yeah.
And AI is helping us to filter out the information and get so if you use AI properly, you'll filter out the information and get the information that is most important to you. But again,
I wanted to know if you take this part, did patient communities help do that back in the days when the information started to influx? How was ACOR like changing the way patients understood their disease? Like, let's go back in order to understand what we're going to have now, because ACOR was on the verge of that. And
so ACOR was, I think, the first system that allowed people to become truly micro experts at their condition, which was totally, we didn't plan it. None of what happened at ACOR was planned. It just happened. And because this was the beginning of the internet, the original communities were filled with PhDs and people who were highly educated. And we built a philosophy, like a culture of deep scientific information into those communities. And really interestingly enough, at some point, I wanted to scale ACOR to a much bigger size, so I went to Google to say if they would be willing to take ACOR in and scale it up to Google size. And the first question that I got was, how do you know this will scale up? And within a few months, that was really an amazingly good question. Within a few months, I brought them the information that they needed, which is because those communities are so deeply involved in making sure that proper scientific information is communicated through those communities, and snake oil is rejected with like a full methodologies that were developed by us and by the members of those communities. We found out that people that knew nothing about science would come in a community for the type of cancer that either them or a loved one had been diagnosed with, and within 1 month, they were able to communicate at a much higher level than they ever imagined.
I don't think I used
hopefully
ACOR when my father was sick in 99 and in the
Yeah.
early 2000s, but I can really relate to what you said now, because I remember going in knowing like basic terminology about my dad's disease and treatments, and it took about 3 months, and I was able to understand every part of the treatment, what is good, what is bad, bring new questions to the doctor. I can say in favor of my father's doctor, even if he thought what I brought was wrong, he was kind enough to explain why he thought it was wrong. He didn't just dismiss me. He said, it's not right because 1, 2, 3, and his answers made sense, right? It was like good judgment. It wasn't like just because you brought it, I don't like it.
So if I understand correctly,
So what you described, I think that what you just described, Uri, is really, really important. Those communities help people really become true partners in care.
it's
And
educate
that
them. It
transformed
brings
medicine
them-
profoundly.
Yeah, exactly. It brings them to a level that they can communicate with the physicians or the caring team in like equals or almost equals. And you saw
It's not equal. It's something different. We are micro experts, so we can have informed conversation with the experts. And that is, and to this day, I think the impact of what I just said has not been studied enough. No one has, I've never seen a real study done on what is the impact on final clinical outcomes of having conversation at that level.
Yeah.
What I can tell you is that before the internet, when my wife had this cardiac problem, the doctors came to me, and you have to understand, Mr. Frydman, it's the work that you did as a bridge between the medical team and the patient that made the patient being able to live. Without you, we would not have been able to save your wife.
Wow.
So this is the philosophy that I put into ACOR, and it's the same thing that I do today with AI.
So I do know you did have a lot of backlash to ACOR from some physicians. I know some were supporters and some were detractors. Why were doctors so afraid of ACOR? Or why did they think it could be a bad thing?
Okay, so you asked me why doctors, why there was such strong backlash at the time, and the answer is for the same reason that many doctors today express very negative opinion about patients using AI. Many doctors do not like to be questioned. They are the experts and they are telling the person, this is what we are going to do to you. And what happens when people become educated is that we are questioning, just like, I'll remind you, in Israel, if you have 3 people, you have 10 opinions. The same thing happens when people get informed about medical issues that are of personal importance to them. They are going to start to question everything that is being told to them.
I'm not sure the questioning is the only thing that happened. It can be opposite. They can understand and be more sure of what the physician is telling them and what they are offered to do. Sometimes it's a good thing, I think. Always it's a good thing.
It's always a good thing. I
the
think physicians that have much more, let's say, self-confidence, see this as a plus.
Yeah.
But if your confidence is weak, then you see it as a minus. Because doctors did, as far as I know, did approach ACOR for help and for collaboration.
So with ACOR, I met many really amazingly great doctors and physician scientists that were involved in the clinical trials, I have never met one of them saying that they don't like people questioning them. All the good doctors never have a negative response to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, from many experiences that we had on ACOR, today we have thousands of people that are alive because of the information they got from an ACOR community, where they were able to get the information from other patients that surfaced the best knowledge coming from the best medical centers and went back to their doctor saying, "Doctor, I need to be tested for this." And that's true for a whole bunch of like mutations that the doctors were not aware of. And if you had this mutation, all of a sudden there were new treatments.
And that's only on ACOR. I think we know that there are communities on Facebook and WhatsApp and all kinds of communities today. It's easier to do.
You have thousands of communities you have thousands of communities for rare diseases that have profoundly transformed the life expectancy of people with those rare diseases.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
So
Yes. Liat has a rare disease on her own, and one of our of the good friends and one of the proponents of participatory medicine is alive because of ACOR. That's what he says. Like e-patient Dave, I don't know. I learned about ACOR a bit from his TED talk, but I remember he just went through what you said, right? Went to ACOR and learned about new treatments and new science that he wasn't aware of, and basically it saved his life.
What happened with Dave is even more precise than that. The treatment was not new. The treatment was extreme treatment. And unless it was done by a multidisciplinary team, the side effects of the treatments are so harsh that a significant percentage of people receiving that treatment would die from the treatment.
Yeah.
And the community had developed specific expertise into that treatment because it was the only treatment for renal cell carcinoma, kidney cancer, that produced a cure when it was successful.
Yes.
But many doctors would never even mention it to their patients because they knew nothing about it. Memorial Sloan Kettering in New York never mentioned it to one of their patients because they had had a lawsuit. And so they decided we cannot mention the treatment. Really complex stuff. But the community told Dave how we should prepare for the treatment and what to expect and where he should. So he was already being treated by one of the two main teams doing the treatment. So he was already at an advantage. But that, again, the team that treated him told him, from the information you got from the community, you have done a lot better.
Yeah.
You see today the establishment is taking the communities in a different way. You said that at first they were very skeptical about patient communities. Today it's different because of all of these communities, all of the people that their life saved after they went in a community and got the information.
Sure. After doing 20 years of ACOR, I came with the conclusion that doing medicine without the full involvement of the patient is bad medicine.
Yeah.
You cannot do optimal medicine without the involvement of informed patients.
How you were one of the founding fathers of the participatory medicine, and maybe the guy who coined the phrase participatory medicine. What do you mean by participatory medicine? Why was that name chosen and not e-patients was there, and you did talk in other terms also. Why did you choose participatory?
So we met with a group of people for a few years under the guidance of a real pioneer, real medical pioneer in all of this, whose name was Dr. Tom Ferguson, who had created a magazine in the late 70s called Self-Care.
Mm-hmm.
in which he said, "You're already your own doctor." So he was really, he was much more advanced than any one of us. He had been thinking about it. He trained at Yale as a doctor, which Yale was like really the number one medical school in the country. And we met regularly. He became a very close friend of mine. He had cancer. He had multiple myeloma, and he survived many more years than expected because of his attitude and his ability to always look for the next thing. And then at the end, multiple myeloma got him. So he passed away. Mm-hmm. And we decided that we were going to do something in his memory and continue the work that we had been doing together. And I was constantly looking for how can we get a term that defines what we were discussing. And one day, I was reading the Wikipedia page on participatory design, which is an old thing in the Scandinavian countries. And I said, if you apply this, whatever is in this Wikipedia page to medicine, this is exactly what we have been talking about. So we should call it participatory medicine.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, you are the grandfather of this podcast's name, which is Participation.
Now you know why.
And why do you prefer, like, when you say participatory, you say informed patient? What is it different than what people call like patient centricity in pharma or patient engagement? What is the difference? Because people sometimes say, we do patient engagement. We think of the patient in the center. What is the difference between the terms you speak or the things you think of when you say that to other terms?
So the only difference is the use of those terms. I have nothing specific. I don't prefer any of those terms per se for what they mean. I have something very strongly against the use of two of those terms.
Okay.
So, in fact, it's more than two terms. So, patient engagement, I think, is a completely corrupted term used by industry to do exactly the opposite. There is nothing about engaged patients. So, like for almost everything in medicine, you have two words that are like that usually collide. You have the professional world and the word of patients, the people that receive the care from the professional world. And it's all a question of perspective. I told you I'm an artist, so I always think like visually in terms of things. If you look into engaged patients is something really powerful. Patient engagement is what the professional people are going to do on people. They are going to engage with patients. And that's very paternalistic.
Mm-hmm. The paternalism.
So I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's only the paternalism that's the problem. It's all the perception that someone needs to engage them and they don't have a will or an opinion of their own. It's not only the physician side that.
Yeah.
Sure, but then terms start to have a life of their own, and so patient engagement is now. People talk all the time about patient engagements, and the moment they say this, it excuses them from doing anything real to advance what patients are doing.
Yeah.
They still keep patient as passive.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's the main thing. Patient engagement still sees the patient as a passive participant.
I will engage them and not...
They need to engage them. They are not active in their own care. But
exactly.
I think engagement is being active in your own care. It's not being passive. It should be active. That's why I like participatory, because you need to participate actively, and both sides need to participate actively. Yeah. No side should be a passive recipient and the other an active giver. It's a discussion. Sure. It's both ways, right?
Sure. I need to say something so that it's really clear. I love medicine. I really should have been a doctor, but I'm not. I studied animal biology.
All of us, I think.
Sure. So I love medicine. I love great doctors, and I have zero patience for mediocrity in medicine.
Yeah, I understand.
And
This is from the search of excellence, not from just being a
Sure.
conspiracy theorist against medicine, right?
no, no, absolutely not. Like ACOR was always there, and all the work that I do today is like to help promote real science and make sure that people live in a world of validated stuff. The second term that I dislike profoundly is shared decision making. I think it's as corrupting as patient engagement.
Okay. Why is that? I actually prefer
It's
shared.
again, I mean, shared decision making. There is no real sharing anything. It's just it helps people to and system to say we're doing the right thing,
Okay.
while still not bringing in patients. How many clinical trials do you know that have brought in a patient to help design the protocol of the trial?
Not enough.
And until this becomes the norm, the clinical trials are not going to be optimal. That is pretty obvious to me.
Also in the day-to-day care, if you won't give your patient the information in his language, in his place, I'm not sure the place.
If you don't ask the patient and understand his situation and the
Exactly.
needs, and he doesn't
Yes.
express it exactly how he feels and how he needs it to be done,
It's not
then you
shared
never,
decision.
Yeah, it's not a shared decision. You make assumptions, and once you make assumptions, the patients becomes a passive thing within your assumptions.
I have a question.
But at the same time, what you just said, let's push it in the opposite direction. We have been talking about excellence and being the patient's involvement. We also have to accept that that's not the case for all the patients.
Yeah.
No.
You have a lot of people
talk
that
about
don't want to be
a lot.
involved,
Yeah.
and they have to be as respected as the people that want to be fully involved.
I always say the first decision a patient needs to make is how involved he wants to do. My problem is the assumptions of doctors that their patients don't want to be involved and want them to take,
For sure.
or the other way.
Yes.
That they want to
Right?
know all of the
So they want to know everything, and you
Yeah.
bring upon them a lot of decisions they didn't want. I think the first thing that the patient needs to do with his doctor is define the relationship and understand how involved he wants to be in the discussion, and how much of the, let's say, of the responsibility he wants to share.
take,
Because once you take decisions on your own, you also have to bear the responsibility of your decisions. And
Absolutely.
some people don't. I think that's the first decision. From there, it's very clear how it's going to go.
It's
So
not
what
clear,
you just
it's
said
easier.
becomes even more important in today's age of AI, because people are going to become much more independent with more agency, and with agency comes responsibility. If I go and look for much more of the information regarding my health on AI, I carry the responsibility of making sure that I know what I'm doing, and the information I get, I double check, triple check, and do not become like a recipient of false news.
But don't you think...
Fake news.
I have a question. Before we're jumping to AI, because I want us to have enough time to talk about it, I wanted to know, we talked about the change that the patient went through. Today, we have tools to be a more engaged patient, more educated. You see a change in the physician side. You see a change in maybe the today's generation. They are more willing or more understand the opportunity of being a partner with their patient and not decide for them without asking.
I'm not sure that that's completely the case in the US. So I think in many ways you're lucky in Israel that the system still works a lot better than it works in the US. The healthcare system in the US is totally broken, really. And so the doctors don't have any time. They are like incredibly stressed, and it puts more and more responsibility on the patients, that they want it or they don't want it. You have about 30% of people in the US that have no access to care at all.
Wow.
for whatever reason. And not having access forces you to go to look for solutions.
So that
this
really
is-
takes us to AI because
Yeah,
it's
I
one of the
think-
solutions.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
data shows that the usage of AI grows in the evening when there is no access to clinics, and also grows
Sure.
in what you call in the US hospital deserts, right? Places where hospital is so far away that the physicians needs AI because he doesn't have access to
Other.
experts who can consult, and the patients needs AI because he doesn't have the experts access, right? Or test access or whatever.
But besides that, you have 20% of people that don't have the money to have care.
Yeah.
They don't have.
It's cheaper to,
So they
to
need
go
to
to
find
ChatGPT.
solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then and even you have a significant percentage of people that do have access to care, but like they call the doctor and they're being told, come in 3 months. We don't have an appointment before 3 months. I'm not going to wait for 3 months. I'm going to go and look for solutions.
And what's the problem with that? I mean, I know that you don't like the negative approach of the medical establishment against patients using AI, but there is a problem with this infinite access to medical consultations that have no ethical view of what the
So,
patients, right? AI has no ethics,
Yes,
right?
yes.
And it
Yes.
always
So
have
if you're
a correct, I'm doing a correct answer for you, and not always it is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Maybe the most complex question that I could have been asked for the last 30 years. There is not a single answer. This is really complicated. So I'm going to try to give as much sides as possible to it. This issue of, oh my God, the patients are like using AI and they're coming with all kinds of questions. This is not the first time it happens. It happened first with ACOR and with communities. Then it exploded with, oh my God, people are using Dr. Google, it's going to kill them.
Yes.
And now we have the third generation where, oh my God, they are using AI, it's going to kill them. Okay, so if you remember at the time of people are using Dr. Google is going to kill them, we asked the really good question. How many people have died from like doing searches on Google? Nobody could find an answer to that. It cannot be big. It cannot be that big if no one can prove anything. But what we know is that many, many, many people die from medical errors.
Yes.
So if we have to compare two things, I think there is a much bigger chance of people dying from the medical system doing errors than people getting the wrong answer from questions on Google. And the same, I think part of the same answer applies to AI, but we have to recognize that AI does have real issues that will need to be resolved, which I am sure they're going to be resolved over time. So the sycophancy is definitely a reality, even though I think they are dealing with it, and it's like the chatbots are providing less sycophantic answers now than they did a year ago.
Yeah.
But it's real. The issue of inventing responses, definitely true. We cannot, that one is less than before, but it's still there. And I think it's part of the DNA of AI. So you need to create tools that deal with this. But I've been working on it, and I've created a very, very large AI native site about circadian science. I can guarantee you today it's the biggest site that exists anywhere on the internet about circadian science. It's 100% AI native. There is not one page there written by a human being. There are about 3,000 citations in it. And you don't have a single citation that is fake.
Cool.
So
Do
there
you
are
have
tools.
Do you have tools? Do you have tools that check it?
Of course I have. Of course I have tools. So I mean, for the same reason that this is the evolution of 30 years. When we had access to PubMed, we needed to make sure that whatever was coming out did apply to patients. So we have discussed this already before. We have developed tools to do peer review, to do the equivalent of peer review using computers.
Yes.
And those tools are pretty good. And the more you work on them, the more sophisticated they become. And the more I read about the science of basically reviewing science, the more I input into the tools whatever I discovered that has been done. And so one of maybe the biggest issue that I've discovered in the last 6 months is something called citation cascades.
Okay.
And there was an article in 2009 that was written about it, where it's a fundamental, it's really a foundational article. So I've taken this article and asked AI to create new skills so that whenever it's going to look into any article, it's going to look into what are all the claims made in the article, and let's make sure that you don't have citation cascades.
Citation cascades is the first one was wrong, and then they cascade it from one to another, right?
It rolls.
That's
with
right.
Yeah.
And then you have 100 articles that like cite this thing, and it becomes like a
The
complete
truth.
reality,
Yeah.
even though it's completely false.
I think there was a book, I never remember its name, but it tried to chase down some medical realities that people would say, and found that a lot of
Yes.
them, I don't
Sure.
remember, it was called Bad Science or something like that, that when they chased down where it started
didn't
from
found it?
was one man said. Yeah, no real science behind it, right? Just tradition.
I wanted to ask another thing about
Yes.
AI. I think one of the scariest for me things in AI is the language. When you talk with ChatGPT or any other tool, it feels like someone is really knows what he's saying. And when you come to a tool like that, when you're a patient, not like me that I know AI and I know the surrounding of medicine, when someone in your family is sick or you are sick and you are coming to ask AI, you need someone to tell you things with empathy and to put...
Yes.
And then I'm not sure that you are in a position to ask, is it right? Do I need to check it again? Do I need to ask my physician about it? Do I need to ask him if he's making up what he's saying? You don't see a problem with it? How can we solve this part?
So
A big
this is really,
question.
again, all these questions are incredibly complicated. The answer that may be good for certain part of medicine may be very bad for another one. So this question of empathy is really important. I think that's one of the big reasons why people at 2:00, like, oh my God, I'm anxious, let me ask a question. And the machine gives them a response with much more empathy than almost anybody else.
Yeah.
That empathy is positive. In this case, it's going to be a very big negative when it comes to mental health, where therapy in mental health is usually not, you have to push people.
Yeah.
You have to push them in a negative way so that the stuff that is really bothering them, they have the ability to bring it out. If you have a therapist that is always saying, oh, I agree with you, it's going to be the worst kind of therapy you can get.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
AI is exactly...
I'm not sure only in mental health. I don't want my doctor to always say yes with what I'm bringing to his table or her table. I want them to talk with me. I want us to make a discussion. Sure. And that's what I feel in AI. It's not whatever I'm saying to him or her. They say, of course, you're so right.
So I'll give you an answer based on ACOR. I'll give you a two-layer answers.
Okay.
The advantage of the ACOR communities was the conversation. whenever people would say something, if they said something that was wrong, somebody would come and say, what you just said probably doesn't make sense. People were never attacking each other. They were just saying, like, what you said, like, probably doesn't make sense. Can you please provide the scientific basis for what you're saying? And based on what we know, no, it's not true. It should be this. You can do the same today with AI if you developed this culture of triangulation. Instead of using just one chatbot, learn to use multiple ones.
Okay.
If you get an answer from one, go
Check it.
and ask another one if it agrees with it or not. And most of the time, it's going to come up with differences. And sometimes it's going to say, no, I totally don't agree at all with this.
So like AI board.
Yes.
Yes.
A council of experts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm thinking that I'm going to develop like an add-on to the browsers that are going to like really simplify this for people, where they can enter a question, and it's going to go and give the answer from like multiple chatbots at the same time.
I'll give you a small like example, not from healthcare, but from yesterday. I was looking to help my nephew with a problem with parking. And we were looking if the law was in his favor or not. And when I checked Google in general, the AI part in Google, the AI mode, said, yes, the local law agrees with my nephew. So I downloaded the actual law that it put as a site, as a reference, downloaded it and gave it to Gemini, not even a different AI, because Gemini is behind both of them. Gave him the full document, put it on, said, can you find the article in the law that agrees with my nephew? He reads it, he comes back, no, there is no article in the law that says what you say. And that's AI against itself, because it's the same model. But I think that the way it works in the AI mode in Google, he doesn't really read the full PDF. He reads the site about it, and if there is a mistake there, he gives you the reference, but it's not the right reference. So I think there are a lot of ways of how the LLM does the search, how your prompt asks in order to get the right decision. And I think what we are missing today is basically a layer that helps you do that. You are faced with a chat and you need to bring with the skills. It's like you're talking to someone who doesn't tell you anything back until you ask him. And I think we need some kind of a layer that helps you guide yourself within it in a way that doesn't put you in a trap, right?
Or that guides you after
which
you
is
saw
why,
the... Sorry, yeah.
No, which is why, Uri, I created a company called Synambix, whose tagline is the judgment layer company. That's what it does. It constantly... so I'm a born skeptic. I don't believe anything that I'm being told.
You're a born Jew.
I've driven people crazy.
You were born Jewish.
Here you go.
The circle has closed.
Here you go. Yes. And so, no, but seriously, this is what you need to have a layer that is as profoundly skeptic as I am all the time, so that it does verification in multiple directions to find out if what you get is solid or not. And so you can use AI for all kinds of questions, some that are important and some that are not. Anything that is of any significance, you really ought to double and triple check what you get.
So I think it didn't change.
There is one thing that...
It didn't change. When you saw your physician years ago, you need to be skeptical. And when the internet came on, you needed to be skeptical. And now in the AI era, you still need to be skeptical and ask questions.
There are different
except
tools.
That we were...
Yeah, the tools are different.
Except that we were... The tools are different, but we are still living in a society where expertise was recognized. And if you go to see a doctor, most doctors expect you to believe whatever they say because they are the doctors, right?
Yeah.
And
I think in Israel we see a small change in physicians that see things differently and now know the power that the patients have and the knowledge that patients have in their treatments and in the treatment of the disease. But as you said, in the US it's different. I don't know what's happening in Europe or...
I think it's two things. I think first of all, you have to align the incentive for that. You have to incentivize the system to be, to realize that patients' voice has value, because the incentives are not aligned to that today, or not enough.
And
Some
also
of
the
incentives.
research is not...
And then I think the second thing is that doctors need to understand they also need the judgment layer.
Yeah.
The assumption that doctors have the judgment layer ingrained in them just because they're doctors is a wrong assumption. Is a wrong assumption. We are all born with an automation bias, and we all have to think about how to bring in a judgment layer into this automation. The concept of searching the internet and using communities was basically what I think that's what you're saying, Gilles, was the judgment layer of the searching Google,
They
right?
still are. Yeah.
So you search Google, you find the answers, and then you go back to the communities, or the other way around. So each one was the judgment layer of the other. In AI, we still don't have a good judgment protocol or judgment tool to work with AI. I think communities will be part of it. And actually, I think you participated in a community of AI responses to one of the posts from, now I forget the name, of course, Susanna Fox, where Susanna brought up a case in her blog, and you and other doctors and other patient activists all took the blog, put it in their AI, and brought up different views because your prompts were different, and it became a community discussion between AIs because everyone brought their AI discussions into the prompt, but it helped, right? So I think that's where communities will help also here.
There are many ways to use AI for to combat its own weaknesses, which is really important. You have to understand what the weaknesses are and what the strengths are, and use the strength to fight its weaknesses.
Yeah.
And so you can do this triangulation using multiple LLMs. You can do red teaming, where you go and you attack whatever it said. I do this all the time. I have used AI multiple times now to, instead of hiring lawyers, to deal with legal issues. And it's incredibly powerful when you start using red teaming and go and attack whatever legal documents you have. It will find solutions that would cost you tens of thousands of dollars of lawyer fees.
Yeah. Now you're going against all the Jewish traits. You're either a doctor or a lawyer, and you're red teaming both.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, but I agree with you. I think, though, it needs to become from a person's expertise, like you, by doing to something that is either scalable, right? We need to scale it because those flaws will hurt medicine. For doctors will be hurt for using AI without doing this judgment layer, and patients will be hurt either from their doctors or from themselves or from their AI, and it could still the whole judgment to a place where ethics does not lie. And that's what I'm really scared about, because AI models are truly instrumental, right? If you talk to them correctly, they will help you suicide. They don't care. They just want to be on your side, right?
And they will be empathic when they are doing it.
My thinking is the new way to scale this judgment layer will be different and will probably need to be using AI or digital tools to help us scale it. And I wonder how what you learn from communities help you here.
So I am working on developing a certification program.
Wow.
Basically, teaching the people that are going to be in the industries where this ability to understand like how you do this judgment layer is going to be fundamental, because if they don't learn it, they are all going to be completely submerged by hallucinations and citation cascades, and they'll end up using bad science to build more science, which will be bad, because if you build bad science on bad science, if you build science on bad science, it's bad science. So, I mean, really, what we have witnessed in the media for the last 15 years, all this like explosion of fake news, is upon us in science. And we need to have the tools and the culture developed to fight it in a way. It's going to be more complicated than to fight fake news.
Yes. And that fight wasn't successful also.
Yeah.
So it's a hard,
At
it's
least
a
for
hard.
now.
So
line we have
you know
in
why it
front
was
of
not
us.
successful? Because of lack of courage.
Yes.
People didn't have the courage to go after it from the beginning. And with science, we don't have this luxury. We need to go after like what is the new, all those new forms of snake oil that are like driven by AI.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think it's not just about courage, it's about incentives. People were making a lot of money out of fake news, and some people
Yes.
got really good, really good outputs for them from using fake news. Presidents and heads of state, we all know and won't say their names.
I think
Well,
I will
you
take us
already-
back to medicine, because we have a few minutes, and we have a last question in our podcast today, because
Okay.
we are...
So sorry, before you go for the last question, what you are saying about politicians, we already have in medicine, longevity medicine is full of crackpots.
Yes.
So
Yes. A senior cardiologist in Israel just wrote a long post saying, we've been doing longevity
Yeah.
for a hell of a
Forever.
long time, and it was never called longevity.
But longevity has money and
Yes,
investors.
but it's
and
a good branding, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
So if you would come up with a last statement for someone who's starting today to explore his opportunities as a patient, what would be like 2 or 3 things you would recommend someone dealing with these issues and trying to come up with ways of doing more for himself or for herself?
That they should definitely use AI, that they have to be absolutely aware. It's the most powerful tool they'll ever use, but it's also the most dangerous because it's the most powerful. And the tool requires you have a responsibility, which is to learn how to use it. If you go and start using the tool without knowing how to use it, you're going to get crappy answers that could be really dangerous.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a powerful ending.
Exactly.
So Gilles, thank you
And
very
important.
much. Yeah, thank you very much for joining us to this lively discussion. It was fascinating for me. I hope it will be fascinating for all of those listening to us. And we hope to see you in Israel and help you
Soon.
come
And
do a
come to
visit
our
here.
studio.
Yes.
Sure. Too many years I haven't been in Israel, believe me.
We are waiting.
Thank you very much. We'll do the ending in
great
Hebrew.
In
pleasure.
Hebrew,
okay?
yeah.
אז אם אהבתם את הפודקאסט, תנו לנו דירוג, תעשו פולו, שתפו עם חברים. אם לא אהבתם, שתפו את הצרות שלכם חברים בשביל שיהיה לנו יותר רייטינג, אבל גם צרו איתנו קשר דרך כל הרשתות החברתיות לספר לנו.
אנחנו
ליאת,
מקווים
תודה
שהיה
רבה.
מעניין, לנו היה מאוד מעניין,
מאוד
ותשתמשו ב-AI בחוכמה.
תודה ליאת,
תודה אורי.
תודה
טוב
ז'יל.
טוב. Thank you.
Thank you.